So welcome to part two of this episode, actually. So I just managed to come back from Tampa. Had a lot of fun watching the Gators, the Rays, the Sharks, and all sorts of aquatic animals. As you can see, episode is split into two-parter for first time Algos and 10 as well. So my Mac is unfortunately about to get traded for a new Mac, via Marcus Smart and Kristaps Porzingis. So my Mac is also facing some free agency this summer. Happy my partner loved my Tampa photo. It's a good place. Tampa Bay is very, very awesome this day of the year. It's a little bit warm. It's like 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And, having a good family retreat was good for Tampa. This July 4th, I'm all about, celebrating family with American culture background. And also really fun. Got to finally be able to see my first Florida Gator as well. So Florida Asian man Jason finally gets to see his Gator. Now back to Algos and 10 business, I'm going to continue having some amazing Katy Perry references and the old Firework song. In addition, proportioning with episode 6 that will be aired later tonight, actually, I have made a very nice East-West mix of Chinese Panda Express like beef and pepper noodles, and also some good old chicken tendies and cheese poppers. So enjoy the episode and enjoy some Katy Perry. So, basically, leaving off from last time, we talked about HTTP stuff, right? So I cannot continue using Postman the rest of the episode unless I actually install Postman. So I'm just going to talk about, some of the stuff I used. So in this case, I use a Postman post this time. So as you saw from part one, there's two forms, or at least two forms of HTTP protocol calls for web server responses. You have the get, which is getting a packet of data from the web server, and then post, which is basically sending the data. So post in a JSON, not JSON, JSON, remember, JSON styled format. So these are all the common words from, baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make them go, as you shoot across the sky. Katy Perry. So to end the episode, I'm actually gonna have a little Katy Perry play along from my phone very soon. So before we get to that fun part, I want to talk more about like how this episode will continue. So as you can see here from Postman, there's another piece called body. It has something called raw, which is like raw JSON file, raw dynamic posting. I have another thing called headers. So headers right now is 0. So if I add in, for example, a very basic header, I say song and value is firework. And then description is basically just Postman HTTP post getter or header. I can add that in as a header. So that header will be good. I saved a header for my post for Postman. I then, of course, have an authorization tab. Now, this is a tab that gets a little bit more advanced. So I get to like a later episode season with my B-Day, about like RBAC authorization, security stuff for cloud computing. We'll talk more about this stuff. And then finally, I go over the params. So I added a couple more params since we last had episode 6. I added a name, Katy Perry, Katy _Perry _ firework. Of course, in the lyrics, it's Katy Perry. Genre is pop. You have the two chorus and song dict. So normally I would have a response showing all the parameters and data, but I don't because I don't have Postman desktop agent. So with that concludes the first part of the episode entirely. So if you have any questions, go to Postman's FAQ, the Postman documentation for help. There's one more thing from Postman I really want to point out that's really cool. This section, the code section. So this section allows you to basically get a code snippet of what you have in Postman, which I may not yet mention in the episode description. We could do some curl, which is really cool. If you don't want curl, if you think curl's too, bougie or too much for you, you can change different types. For example, I choose HTTP. And you can basically get HTTP post, call. Or if you think it's still too bougie for you, you can go for a little Node React. So I could go for some Node.js React. So I could do for Node.js native. So you can do any type of web dev programming language you want. Now for work, I generally use this language, which is actually very cool. And I learned this from Northeastern as well, actually. So it's pretty cool from NEU. It's PowerShell. So I could use PowerShell REST method as well. Now we're going to get to PowerShell later in Algos in 10 season 4. So this season 4 is all about the avant-garde, the new stuff, the work-related stuff. And you can see it's really interesting syntax. You have like $sign headers, $sign headers.add. So the $sign in PowerShell is defining a variable. We'll get to more of that stuff later in Algos in 10. So that wraps up part 1. Now part 2 is a little bit more coding, decoding a corpus. So let me show you what I have next for Algos in 10. So you can see my computer's a little bit slow right now. It's been inundated with Instagram memes from Tampa, from socials, from downloads, a lot of things. My computer's been really, really busy with all sorts of good stuff. I've been feeding my computer well with data this July 4th. Part of why you know I'm a comp sci major or a nerdy CS guy, because I treat my computer like a pet. I feed it well. I treat it responsibly. I don't put any inappropriate stuff in my computer. Mr. Udoka and John Morant here. I don't put glickies on my IG. I act like a classy dude with my computer, because let me tell you guys something. In terms of working for a Fortune 500 company, or even just your own computer or partner's computer, the last thing you want to do is abuse your computer. Don't abuse your computer, because it'll be like one of the most important things you'll ever do in your career for comp sci or for data science or any type of IT work. You abuse your computer like abusing a child. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't abuse your computer ever. If you need to delete data, put it in the trash can. If you need to store some data, put it in cloud or do something more creative, such as, for example, Azure storage. Boom, there you go. Or if you are more of an Amazon buff, AWS, your choice. So back to part 2, which is the word count algorithm. So part 2 is a little bit more of just an extension of part 1, except only Katy Perry's "Baby, You're a Firework" is the whole song itself. And here's how it works. It is a abbreviated version of the Levenstein distance algorithm. I'll show you quickly on whiteboard what I mean by that. So this is another fun algorithm I used to, even from Boston University, Densmore Europe research years. It's a very fun whiteboard application. So I go to my whiteboard, I put my screen aside, and let me draw something for you. So let's say, for example, I have 2 words related to July 4th. 2 very easy words related to July 4th and Florida, for that matter. Park, right? And then from my company, SPARQ. Now you see K and Q are different. How are they different? You have a K versus Q. So for the Levenstein distance, it'd be -1 because K is before Q. And how you want to visualize this thing is as follows. You have a box. You have a bunch of letters, S, P, A, R, K, and you put the letters aside, this, 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 and this. Or actually even more, this, 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 and this. Just like the race and the gators. Get some social distance. Don't get too crowded with the, these are the things. SPARQ. So you have basically the 2 Spark things I have right now. So you have Spark and SPARQ Spark from company. So how to determine the values? Well, I do the following. For every letter that actually is itself, I give it a 0. So 0 here. My apologies. I'm gonna undo that. 0 here. 0 here. 0 here. Now, apologies if it's actually not well constructed. And now because K is before then Q, I'm going to give it -1. Next, I compare the two letters. Is S below P? Nope, so it's a 1. S up ahead of A, also 1. So all these are 1s then. And then go on. Is P before S? Yeah, so it's a -1. And you see how it's going to go. This is how leverage distance algorithm goes in general. So that's how you get the general idea of how I code up this solution. So now I go back to my actual code for Algos. So I have a code right now. And let me just quickly go through the code. So I do have my pseudocode in the episode, which I'll show you again right now. So it's a little bit scatterbrained what I have in mind, but it's pretty cool. So you have, a word count algorithm to count unique words. So this is a really fun and popular leak code question for set comprehensions, and so in terms of set analysis. But I think it's also a really cool string processing question as well. It's not that easy to code. Like it looks easy, but it's actually not. You have to be very careful string indexing. So implement now a word count algorithm to count the unique words in the entire Katy Perry Firework song, which I just shown, and for testing purposes other than July 4th late songs. For example, hey brother, da, 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 da. The Departed Avicii, or even my partner's favorite. Put my hands up, play this song, it's gonna be alright. Moving my hips like yeah, parting the lips like yeah. Da, 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 da. Yeah, 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 yeah. The party in USA. It really is a party in USA tomorrow for fireworks. So here's a pseudocode for the algorithm. Def word count, only one parameter, string. If the string is empty or 0, do nothing. Else, set a dictionary for counts and words. So it's a frequency count. For each word in input string, if the word is in counts, add by 1, hence the Leverstein distance. Otherwise, it stays at 1. Or in the case I just shown, you can go to -1. Return dictionary for counts. So, while I continue talking about July 4th and my favorite songs in this holiday, think about for 74 seconds, get it, of how this algorithm could be coded out. And if you really are not just copy pasting leak code solutions, actually know what you're doing in Algos, you'll understand very quickly what the solution is going to be. This is like basically the giveaway. So while I talk more about July 4th songs, y'all need to think about this problem. So for July 4th songs, I particularly like the classics. I like Sosa, Stars Just Forever, dun 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 dun, that one. I also like, of course, God Bless America, land that I love. That's also really great. I also love the newest one, from a relatively new one from Whitney Houston, who sadly passed away in the 2000s. There can be miracles when you believe, though it's hard to hear. Dun, 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 dun. That's one of the songs I really think was motivational in my younger years. And then, of course, a classic July 4th song that everybody should know from USA. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail by the twilight's last gleaming? The Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem. Not to get political, but shame on those who don't stand up for the national anthem. It's important, and to not get political over it, it's important for the nation. That being said, there are also some Chinese variants of songs in USA culture that I love a lot. For example, 我的中国心 or My Chinese Heart is also a very patriotic song. 我的中国心, that one from Chinese school younger years? It's a very patriotic song. Now, before you accuse me of being one of those guys from mainland, do understand that I am a Chinese American. I have best of both worlds, Chinese and American. Partners the same way. So, enough patriotic song spiels. Let's talk about code. So I gave you guys plenty of time to think about the algorithm and distract you with plenty of my, mid-singing. using the above pseudocode, implement the real algorithm with various song lyrics as test cases. Then if this was Postman working, HTTP post each dictionary to the same locals as before. And of course, as always, guys, if you celebrate, enjoy July 4th. Stay safe, don't do crazy things, don't idolize on the IG, stay away from the sparklers, don't act like Florida man, Don't do what I did last year. Went a little wilding, went a little crazy because Celtics Udoka can't win the finals and can't follow the curfew. Don't do what I did last year. That's the one thing I repent is I had a lot of fun time, don't get me wrong, but I sort of just failed to read the room, as I mentioned in part 1. I'm not going to be having a confession on my Algos intent, but I have confessed and repented my inability to read room sin. So without further ado, here's how we wrap up the episode. So here's the coding solution, y'all. Really cool. This is a fantastic solution. Probably one of the best I've seen yet in Algos intent. It's so cute, so clean, so sexy. It's beautiful. So you have def word count s. S is your string. If the string is empty or if it's 0, return none. Do nothing. Otherwise, you do 2 sets of variables. You do a dict and you do s.split. And you're wondering, why would I ever split a string, Jason? Well, from part 1 in the leak code, we have something called space-separated words, right? This is an example of applying that leak code principle to the algorithm episode. Words, s.split is a Python function that helps you split a word into, various segments. For example, if I annotate this thing, for example, if I have the word July, I do s.split July. This is just pseudocode. I would get the following. I would get J, I would get string of character of J, character of U, character of L, character of Y for July. That's the one way you can use Python to do a split here. So s.split your string. Now, if the string's empty, it's going to return empty. Then for word in words, if the word in count, you basically add up the frequency. Otherwise, you keep it at 1, return count. So we have the 2 Katy Perry songs. So let me run this thing, y'all, and see what happens. Are you guys ready? You should be, because you're about to be having your minds blown. Now let me run this function for you guys. And while I move some Zoom stuff away, here you go. Now my computer's running low on memory again, so this is spinning the wheel of death a little bit, unfortunately. But it should get you somewhere. Hopefully somewhere good. So let me just run this thing, work on that pi. So do Python and then the function. Boom. Then there you go. You got your 2 corpuses. You got your first corpus for the Katy Perry lyric, and you got for the whole song. And there you have it. There's your Algos intent, season 4, episode 6, Katy Perry Fireworks Extravaganza. The next episode will be on my B-Day. Yay, happy 28th. And that will have some Azure terminologies and some really cool storage procedures. Store procedures, store proc, and very, very fun. One of my favorite activities to do in August. And you can probably tell based on my name, Jason, what I do for August is a whole load of spin. That is right. I am going to give homage to 24-hour fitness and spin for my Algos in 10, season 4, episode 7. And there you go, guys. So let me wrap it up with a little more Katy Perry. Boom, boom, boom. Brighter than the moon, moon, moon. It's you. It's you. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make them go, oh, oh, oh. As you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Baby, go, oh, oh, oh. As you shoot across the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon, moon, moon. Even brighter than the moon, moon. Even brighter than the moon, moon. Thank you very much. That's it. I was in 10, season 4, episode 6, part 2. And of course, if you're not a Katy Perry fan, I'm not going to be offended. T Swizzle also is one of my favorites. I'm an ambidextrous T Swizzle Katy Perry fan. I stand for them both. I don't do Perry and Swift denominational or, intersectional genre wars. I treat music equally yoked, just like my partner. Good night, guys. Love y'all.